Okay, Pauper Elves, match 4, we're on the play. And this is part of the reason why the deck isn't perfect. When you play so few lands, sometimes you get 7 spell hands and you have to throw them away. And a 6 spell hand. And a 5 spell hand. We're in the realm of hands that we might want to keep just because going down lower is so bad. We do get to scry, so if we could scry a land to the top, miss our first land drop, turn 1 Nettle Sentinel, turn 2 Llanowar Elves plus Quarian Ranger, turn 3 Sylvan Ranger, and find another land. This hand really doesn't even do anything. There's no Timberwatch Elf, there's no Lissalana, there's no anything. I don't know if going down to 4 is better though. It probably is. I don't want to miss my first land drop. Alright, well this is a hand. If we can find blue and distant melodies chaining together, then we could be okay. This could be a very quick game. Our opponent is playing Gitaxian Probe, so they're probably the blue-red Izzet Blitz again. I guess saying blue-red is redundant. Maybe if we're lucky, they're just playing some really janky one-land spy deck. That's another deck that plays Gitaxian Probes. Alright, we drew Forest, so we can attack for 1. And our opponent already hit themselves for 2, so they're dealing more damage to themselves than we are. Still getting used to clicking spells first. I apologize for being inconsistent in the video about that, switching back and forth between the two. Our opponent has another Gitaxian Probe. Fearless with their life loss, because we only have 1 card in hand. A third Gitaxian Probe. Our opponent has dealt 6 to themselves. That's pretty funny. Those could have been a liability if we had a decent start, but as it is, it's not going to really matter, I don't think. And they ponder. I wonder if they're just looking for a land this entire time. Our opponent chose to not shuffle. And there's a Delver of Secrets. Alright. We need these elves for Distant Melody, but we're going to offer the trade anyway. Opponent does not take it. And click my spell first and pass the turn. So if we draw exactly Sylvan Ranger next turn, we can go Sylvan Ranger, make our land drop, tap the Priest of Titania for 4, and the island for blue, have a green floating, have the ability to make 5 more mana. That could actually be a thing. So if our opponent removes none of our creatures and we draw Sylvan Ranger, we could be doing very good. They also need to not have Force Spike or anything like that. So our opponent revealed Apostle's Blessing to flip that Insectile Aberration, which means they are the blue-red deck. Which we kind of already knew they were mono-blue because they had an Evolving Wilds. Quarian Ranger. Well, that doesn't do nearly enough. So I'm going to attack again. If our opponent gets rid of a Priest of Titania, it's pretty bad for us, because chaining distant melodies together is one of the ways we can win this game, and we need the mana from Priest for that. But we can't really afford to play around anything at this point. So we need to assume our opponent's not going to block there, which they did not. And there's another Apostle's Blessing they revealed, although it could be the same one as before because they did Brainstorm to set that up. Alright, our opponent has an Impulse. They finally play their first Mountain and red spell of the game. Opponent's only attacking us with 1 of the creatures. And passing the turn. Alright, still no blue source is pretty awful for us. Once again, I can't really afford to play around anything, but I also can't afford to lose my creatures if they block. So I'm going to compromise here. I'm going to attack with one creature to pretend I have one pump spell, and maybe they'll take the 1 damage. Alright, they did not. So that's worse for us if we end up being able to draw ourselves out of this situation and need the mana from the Elvish Mystic and the Priest producing extra mana. We'll see what happens here. We're probably dead this turn, though. There's 6 in the air, plus whatever Kiln Fiend does. And it's probably getting unblockable or trample this turn. Our opponent gushes. Plays a 3rd Delver of Secrets. A 2nd Kiln Fiend. And attacks. Okay. We have to take this damage. We will. And we drew a blue source. I really wish I hadn't traded that Elvish Mystic away yet. Alright. Let's see what happens. Draw 4 cards. Alright, so we could potentially chain some of these together. 4 mana. Play an Elvish Visionary. Ooh, play a Birchlore Rangers. Play a Nettle Sentinel. None of this means anything if they attack for lethal in the air next turn by flipping that Delver. Or they grant the Kiln Fiends trample, but I guess we can try anyway. We could play this other Sylvan Ranger first, but I don't really care about it. I'm looking for a pump spell right now so we can try to win this turn. Start with the Nettle Sentinel because it untaps and generates mana. We have a Quirion Ranger activation remaining, which is very important to keep in mind. And actually we have another Quirion Ranger in our hand. So we can have a lot of attackers. We just need to find a Wirewood Pride. And we really need 4 attackers so that even if our opponent triple blocks, we can get through it. So now we're basically done for the turn. We can't attack for any significant amount. Oh, I made a mistake. I should have tapped these Nettle Sentinels first. We can still cast all our spells though, so it shouldn't be a problem. So I cast all my spells. It doesn't really matter. We're dead to 1 bolt or 1 Delver flip or basically 1 anything. And I think I'm being an idiot here because our opponent has Apostle's Blessing. So I think we're just dead on board, and we were showing them all the cards on our deck for no reason. And wasting our clock for no reason. But maybe our opponent doesn't cast it, or maybe they put them all back and then shuffle them away with an Evolving Wilds crack, which is not very likely, but... Oh, the Insectile Aberration flipped, didn't it? Okay, well, that's it for us. They revealed a Preordain that they just cast. That was almost a win for us, which is really surprising given that we mulliganed to 3. We mull to 3 and we almost win, but our opponent kills us in turn 6. It's pretty impressive. So we could have won on our turn 7 pretty handily, assuming they don't have something else in hand. Alright, we get to sideboard. Bringing in the Rapid Vigor and the Moment's Peace. Getting rid of Viridian Longbow. 2 Elvish Visionaries. 1 Lissalana. And 1 Distant Melody. Alright, we get to be on the play. Well, we don't have a 7-spell hand, but we do have something equally bad. We drew our 1 island. And we're on the play. This isn't quite as bad as missing a land drop turn 1, but it's pretty close. We'd have to draw forest immediately. And even then, we'd only have a... Well, I won't say it'd only be an okay hand. It's a pretty good hand. But I don't think I can keep what is effectively a 0 land hand because I have no green sources. This, on the other hand, is pretty good. I have the blue mana with the Birchlore Ranger. I have a Priest of Titania. And a Rapid Vigor to boot. This card is very good if the Priest of Titania survives and I'm able to Distant Melody on turn 3, because then I can untap the Priest with it. But that's assuming they have no removal at all. And if they do get rid of this Priest or even the Birchlore, this is going to be quite bad, so I'm going to put it on the bottom and look for something else. Our opponent has a turn 1 tap land. And we drew a Quirion Ranger anyway. That's exciting. So I have the option of attacking for 1 or playing out my Quirion Ranger. And I don't think attacking for 1 is going to do very much, but getting that extra mana available next turn could be important, because I'm going to try to Distant Melody. Our opponent plays a Delver of Secrets, and hopefully does not bolt our Priest. Alright, they have a Gitaxian Probe, so now they know it's in our hand. So if they do have or draw into a Lightning Bolt, it's almost certainly going to kill our Priest. Or I guess potentially they could kill the Birchlore Ranger as well, to get rid of our blue source. Okay, our opponent is bolting our only blue source, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can untap that creature and generate 1 mana, but that's not enough for 2 mana to cast Rapid Vigor. Now if we just draw a blue source, we're doing pretty good. Maybe not pretty good. We're doing fine. I think I'm going to start off by attacking. Threaten to regenerate my creature if he blocks, which he's not going to do. So I'm going to untap the Priest, play out the Timberwatch Elf, and pass. And I still have Rapid Vigor up because I can untap Priest of Titania. Okay, Delver of Secrets flips, revealing Temur Battle Rage. And our opponent casts a Nivik Cyclops. Okay, we drew a blue source, which is quite good. Unfortunately, we are going to have to tap this Priest of Titania to cast it. So we'll start off with that and see if we draw anything with our 3 cards. Elf and Elf. Well, that's quite good. Is it good enough is the question. So I'd like to be able to leave up Rapid Vigor and also attack this turn. So basically I just need to be able to have Priest alive, which should be trivial to do. Play a Well-Wisher. Attack. And I'm going ahead and I'm going to use this now. It's possible I could have forced my opponent to block there, but I don't believe so. It would have required me to untap the Priest of Titania before combat to be able to also cast this spell. And then I wouldn't have been able to use the Timberwatch twice. So our opponent needs to kill us right now or kill the Timberwatch Elf. This Quirion Ranger really is a jack of all trades. Being able to untap Priest of Titania or Timberwatch Elf or Well-Wisher makes it a very good card. Our opponent still knows about the Rapid Vigor in our hand, so if they have Electrickery, they can't really go for it right now, unless they also have a counterspell. Our opponent starts off with Apostle's Blessing. Okay. They're going to name green. And we cannot gain life because our Well-Wisher has Summoning Sickness. So there's nothing we can do here, but hope they don't have enough to kill us, which they probably do. I think Temur Battle Rage alone will do it. Yeah, is that 14 plus 3 is 17? Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, well, we 2-0'd Izzet before, and then we got 2-0'd by them, unfortunately. Nevertheless, 3-1 is a good record, and we are on to match 5.